I've been talking about this a little bit over the past couple episodes of feeling kind of lost on the Go board, and it's just so strange that after all these years of playing Go, I still feel so unsure of myself when I play, and how often I play a move thinking, I don't really know if that works or if that is a solid enough move. Um, and you just kind of have to go for it. I think that's something that people have to work on when they play. You're not going to know every answer and you're not going to know what to do in every situation. But I think if you play, you will slowly get more wisdom about how to make those judgments. And it's also that, like, what is most important is to recognize the very hot moments in the game versus those moments of uncertainty. They may or may not be very, very important, but a lot of the times you can kind of get away with the subpar, less than ideal move. And it's recognizing the very critical points that really gets you far in the game, but then you still have that big experience gap of needing to be comfortable with uncertainty. And I've been experiencing that a lot in my games lately, and I've played a lot of Go to get where I am, and I guess it's just never gonna go away. Welcome to Start Point, the show about Go for Go fans away from the board. I had a couple friends find out about Starpoint recently, and they are not Go players. One of them knows the rules, but they don't actively play. And I from that experience, I thought, what would if they want to check out this podcast, if they wanted to check out Starpoint and listen to an episode, a lot of these episodes are just going to be like, what are you talking about? I don't know what this means. Maybe some of the, I don't know, AI or not, like, the less practical episodes might be appealing or understandable. But for the most part, I feel like you'd be pretty lost if you're not a fully fledged Go player. And that kind of got me thinking, what would I say to somebody who was coming into this podcast for the first time and they don't know too much about the game? Like, what if they're just curious about Go? What would I tell them to convince them to play this game that is so beautiful and dear to my heart? Or what would I tell them to describe the game accurately enough that they may realize that it's not something that they want to pursue? That's kind of what I want to try to do today, and maybe just kind of go over the whole beginner experience, right? So I'm going to maybe talk a little bit about some reasons to play, and try this game out, give it a chance, and also what to expect as you begin your journey, and reflecting on what I went through and what I've seen people go through. So to start, why? Okay, well, you're here and you're listening to the show, unless you're my friend and you're just listening because you want to see how I do this show, and just you're like, I don't care about Go. But if you're here because you like Go, or you're interested in Go and you still want to learn more about it, I could give you a few reasons I think that may be appealing to you, may or may not be appealing to you, that might convince you or not to play this game. First off, I think I've mentioned this before. It is a beautifully quiet and meditative activity. And you don't get that a lot in a lot of other activities and games. Yes, I love lively action and just chatting and being loud and doing things active and going places and trying new things. And I love that energy too. But sometimes it's just very beautiful and peaceful and relaxing to just sit down and be quiet with somebody else, right? I think a lot of us are maybe not comfortable with being quiet by themselves, or some people like that too. But I feel that we often don't get a lot of opportunities to be quiet with other people. You're always either socializing with them or trying to figure out logistics or something. But to really just spend time with someone. My wife and I went on a date. We were just talking about this, where one day we went to a cafe one morning. We both took a book that we wanted to read. We ordered our pastries and coffee, sat down, and it was great weather. We opened our books and we were just sitting there quietly reading. And it was a beautiful experience. A very, very memorable date compared to other ones where we just go to the movies or, those are also fun, where you go bowling and stuff like that too. But this was a different thing, and it felt very different, and it's something we want to do again. And so that activity, that quiet meditative activity, I encourage you guys to try it, because it's something that is really appealing to me, to be able to sit down with somebody and be quiet and have an engaging, stimulating experience. Speaking of stimulating, another reason I think Go is actually, it's a very mental activity, but I think it's a physically stimulating activity. The feeling of grabbing stones and putting them down on a grid. Now, this episode, I assume you know what Go is, and you've done a little bit of research, and you might know a little bit about the rules. So I'm going to make a few assumptions here. I'm not going to go explain exactly from scratch, because you're here, right? You're at the podcast. You must know something about the game. But anyway, putting the stones down on the grid, there's something primal and physically stimulating about that, and I love it. And the sounds, just accenting the silence with the little rattle of stones. And I love that. And that's something that I really love. And I think it's something that maybe you should try out. The game is also very historically rich, if that's something that appeals to some and not others, but it is worth noting, right? This game is the oldest continually played board game in existence. There's some arguments to be made, like backgammon, but that game has morphed quite a bit. The game of Go has kept its original form, almost identical to back then. There's some rule adjustments like Komi, where we found out, and I'm getting into the weeds a little bit, but it is a historically rich game. It's 3,000 years old. And there's a lot of history behind it. A lot of people took it very seriously in the past. There are a lot of legends that, you don't see games like this very much, where you can name legendary players from the 1600s, right? Like that just doesn't, that's not really a thing, right? A lot of games didn't even exist in the 1600s. So it's just very unique in that way. And I think that's very appealing, especially if you're kind of into the Asian culture and Asian history and stuff like that. But regardless of where and what kind of history, it's old, right? And I think that's something that really appeals to me personally. And overall, just to wrap this segment up, this game is so fulfilling, so rewarding. It is I feel like one of the most rewarding things I've ever done to gain knowledge and skill in this game. And I think that's very, very much well worth your time. So if you want something that you can depend on to continuously reward you for your efforts and feel like you've come somewhere new and you've grown, this is a great game to try. And what's more is that the game, it's such a free game, like the grid, right? You must be familiar with the 19 by 19 grid. And this grid is huge, 361 points. You feel like you're like dropped in the middle of an ocean when you play this game and you don't know what to do. Like, there's just so much to do. And because of that, because of the freedom you have, you will find that it is impossible to hide yourself when you play. And so when you play, you will see yourself come alive on the board in a very unique way that resembles something as unique as a thumbprint or fingerprint on the board. And every person plays differently. There's that much freedom in the game. A lot of other games, they limit you quite a bit, right? Like you can perform 3 kinds of actions in one turn or something like that. Or, I don't know, even a controller in a video game only has so many buttons. So Go, it's like it drops you in the middle of the ocean and there's so much freedom that everyone's going to respond a different way, even as they learn how to play the game. And if you are interested in discovering more about yourself and seeing yourself do something that you've never done before and seeing how you handle that situation. And this is kind of true for most things that you do, like new things that you learn. I would encourage Go. Go is a fantastic way to discover yourself, and see who you are on the board. You will learn things about yourself the more you play. I'm still learning things about myself when I play this game. So that's just kind of a little, paragraph summary spiel about why you coming into this game may be interested, may or may not be interested. But it's beautiful. Look at it. It's just aesthetically beautiful. If you find it to be beautiful, then great. Jump in and try, because I'm going to now describe a little bit more about what it might feel like, right, to get your feet wet in this game and what that beginner experience would feel like. I'm going to draw as much as I can from my own memories and from what I've seen people go through. But everyone's experience is different. You're going to have different people surrounding you. You're going to have different learning paths. And so it's not going to match perfectly with what you're going to do, but I'm going to try my best to try to just lay out the archetype of the experience of a person going through this game. So, I mean, depending on where you are in this journey, a lot of you are already like very far in this journey, but maybe you're like also still a beginner, and you will find yourself relating to a specific point in this journey that I'll describe, wherever, right? And you can kind of just maybe think about whether this rings true for you, these experiences, whether they are something that you've shared or you've experienced something else. I would love to know if you have any thoughts on that. But first and foremost, you're going to learn the rules, right? And maybe you've already learned the rules and you kind of know the basics, but typically, most people start with a very simplified version of this game called Capture Go, because Go is a very complicated game, and Capture Go simplifies the rules to the basic mechanic, which is capturing. If you know Go, you probably know you can capture stones, and that's not quite the point of the game, but it very much feels like the point of the game for the absolute newcomer. When you start playing the game, after you learn how to capture a stone, which is surround your enemy's stones and take them off the board, you're going to feel a little rush, and you're going to feel a little bit like, I want to do more of that. And it's going to feel not super dissimilar from succeeding at winning in like Connect 4, right? Or playing checkers and capturing an enemy in checkers. You're going to be like, oh, that's cool. I captured you. And so you're going to start trying to capture your opponent and get a thrill out of doing that and chasing that feeling for a while, right? But depending on if you're playing somebody stronger or if you're playing somebody your level, you might have a different experience, but overall, you're going to chase this feeling and then start to notice that you can't really see. What does that mean? It's kind of like you're looking at this thing, like when you miss a 4 in a row in a Connect 4, and it's like you're staring at this thing, right? You're staring at this layout, and for some reason, when the 4 hits, you're just like, "Oops! How did I not see that?" And you're going to experience that a lot in this game. And it's going to be kind of like a little arcade feeling, assuming you're starting on the 9x9, as most people do, the smaller board. It's going to have this kind of arcadey vibe. This like, oh, who can spot the right moves first to capture the other player, right? Connect 4, like who can, who's better at spotting the 4. And that's what it's going to kind of feel like at the beginning. But you're going to quickly be able to recognize that I can't see everything. Like, I don't know how this ended up this way, but I got captured, right? You're going to realize that you're a little blind. And it's very similar to chess, right? At the beginning of chess, you're always getting captured. Your bishop is getting captured, your knight's getting captured, your queen's getting captured because you couldn't see the attack. It's going to have a very similar feeling to that. And this is like the first point where you might drop the game. especially if you're playing somebody stronger than you who just seemingly is all knowing. They know every move, and for some reason, like, they are uncapturable. And maybe it's a bad teacher. Maybe someone who's not letting you capture them. Maybe they're kind of bullying you a little bit. Hopefully not, right? But even if they're letting you capture them, you're gonna start recognizing how much higher they are in skill, and see that they're able to see things on the board in an instant that require you a lot of mental energy and you couldn't even find. That's going to put a lot of people off. If you've, right, because you're going to start playing this game and you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to beat you. And then the Don player is going to be like, you're not going to beat me, but let's play. And you're still thinking like, oh yeah, he thinks he's so good, right? I'm going to beat you. And you lose and you lose and you lose and you lose. And maybe you think like, oh, I just suck, right? Or maybe you think like, this isn't for me. This is just something that I'm not able to grasp. I would encourage you to go past this, because this is something that even that strong player has gone through. You just can't play Go on the first day and expect to be as good as someone who's been playing for even like 2 months, right? You're gonna learn how to do that, but now you're recognizing that it will take time for you to get better. It's not something you can just figure out in your brain. It's not something that you can like, oh, I think I got it. Light bulb went on and I am able to play better now. It is something that you will have to spend some time with. And this is maybe a little intimidating for some people. But if you're determined, just relax, realize that you're a beginner. This is the first hurdle. If you can get past this hurdle, it'll be huge, because this is, every hurdle that you get past in experiencing this game will be monumental in your growth. So let's say that you're okay with that, right? Let's say that you are okay with kind of missing things and not seeing correctly, but you want to keep going. You're going to try to play, and you're going to start noticing that you're able to see certain things better over time. And yet it's still going to feel a little rough, and you're not going to fully understand how things work and lock together. Why are you dying on the first line? And you're going to start being exposed to certain terminology. And every time you do this, it's going to feel like the ocean is getting deeper and deeper. And you're going to feel this thing where you dip your toes in the water and then you wade out and it's starting to go to your chest. And you're like, I didn't realize that there was this much water, this much to learn, this much to work on. And then you're going to figure out how to survive out there. You're going to learn how to tread water. And then you're going to go out a little further. And then you're going to realize it's even bigger than you first thought. And you're going to experience this many times, that every time you experience that, there's a chance that you will give up on this game. Okay, I'm just going to be frank here, right? Like, this game is so large. You're going to find the skill disparity so intimidating. A lot of you will, not everyone, right? I've seen it happen. That it's just going to feel like not worth it. Not worth it. You're never going to get to that level, and it's not worth picking up this game. Because you suck. This is why it's so important to be humble and accept the beginner mindset and be okay with being a newbie and a beginner. And this is also why it's so important for Go players to be gracious and humble when they teach, and reassure players that it's okay to not see things at first. That the whole point of the beginning is to learn these things. If you are able to stick with all that and you're continuing to learn, you will start to learn, and you will start to notice that your skills are getting better. And then you will also be more and more exposed to different Go terminology and different like patterns. And you will see yourself get better, but you will also notice that there are certain things you're starting to ask. You're like, well, why doesn't this work? Why am I not allowed to do this? Or what if I do this? And you may not fully understand everything. And that is another introduction of an aspect of this game, which is the mystery of it. You're going to always ask questions about why and how about Go. Or at least I did. That's the way I kind of saw it. But first and foremost, you're gonna get to the point where you realize that this game is not just about playing the game, and that you're gonna actually have to spend time not playing the game to learn more about the game. And this is another roadblock. This is another hurdle. If you realize that I have to stop playing and spend some time learning about the game, certain shapes, certain patterns, certain concepts, that can turn people off. You might be like, oh, I just wanted to play. I don't really want to spend time studying. I don't want to learn. So I'm going to just quit because I suck. And if I have to learn, I have to study and put extra time outside of the game, I'm not going to do this. And maybe if you're like that, you're missing some of the appeal of the game. But I told you earlier, this game is historically rich. And it has been in the minds of very, very intelligent people for 3,000 years. And these people have been in a sort of philosophical dialogue about the game for that length of time and have been developing the ideas on this board for that time. And it's come to this part where you're just stepping in as a complete noob. And so, yeah, you're going to have to spend time to learn concepts. You're going to have to learn what eyes are. You're going to have to learn what false eyes are. You're going to have to learn why certain shapes are alive, why certain shapes are bad, why certain shapes are dead, how to kill certain shapes. And for me, I was I was a little stubborn. For a while, I went through a phase of, I want to figure this out on my own. And I've seen it happen to other people where they don't want to learn. They don't want to be told how to play the game. They want to play the game to be good at the game, to learn how to play themselves. And that's kind of an attitude to be applauded, but it doesn't work. Like, don't spend too much time trying to figure the game out yourself, because it's kind of like if I dropped you in the middle of on a remote island and I told you to make fire. And you might be able to figure it out, but it will be very, very difficult. But on top of that, imagine you didn't have shows like Survivor or basic knowledge of what fire making even is. And how are you going to figure out how to rub two sticks together and then that's going to turn into a flame? How did we figure that out? That's kind of a miracle, right? But it's very difficult to figure out on your own. And today, let's compare you, who I drop into the middle of the island and say, make a fire. And you're just like, what's fire? Right? Versus the other person who I say, take a fire making class and learn how to make fire. And then they're instructed on like what you can use, the materials that are best for it. And that is all from the experience, the collective experience that we've amassed over millennia, if I'm speaking like honestly. And that person's going to have so much more of an advantage over the person just dropped on the island. And so then if you're trying to figure this game out on your own, you're like the guy on the island. And okay, great, that's commendable. But you're really not going to get that far. Okay. And if you think that fire making is easy, then let's up the ante. Let's say that I want you to make a perfectly cooked steak. And one person is taking a cooking class and they have the resources of a gas stove and things like that, while you're still on the island and you're just like, how do I hunt? You're like, and so you're figuring stuff out like from day zero. And that's not really practical. And so if you're like me, don't I had a game in Go early on where I was like, I want to try this. I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm going to draw a territory line across the bottom third of the board to see if I can grab that whole piece. And obviously, if you're listening and you're an experienced player, that's just silly. That's just a clown play. So, I mean, look, I want you to explore, have fun, and try your own ideas out, but you need a certain level of humility and being able to put on the clothes of a student. when you learn this game. If that's not for you, then this game may not be for you. But if you like to learn, if you like to listen to somebody who's more experienced in the game and they're telling you something, you like to try to apply that knowledge, then you have a chance at learning this game. So that's going to be a recurring theme as you go through your Go journey, and you may get to a point where you've learned some things on the 9x9. You've learned some tactical things like a ladder or the basic shapes like a farmer hat. And you're ready to move on to this 19x19. And if you've gotten this far where you're pretty familiar with the rules and yet you still haven't really spent time playing a full-size board, you've gotten, I think, farther than most people, but at the same time now this is the biggest, I think, drop-off in players, where you've learned the mechanics of the game, you kind of know the functions of Go, and yet you're not quite sure how that translates to the giant 19x19 board. And when you start playing this board, you will feel overwhelmed. You will feel like you don't know what to do. You feel like the first 100 moves, you're guessing. And that's very normal. I just want to reassure you that that's normal, and not to worry about that, and don't be turned off by that. But to go back to the earlier themes that I discussed in this episode of putting on the clothes of a student and understanding that that freedom isn't meant for you to go crazy in. It's not a blank slate for you to just go out there and die in. It is a training space. It is a space where you learn. And so like when you first write an essay. When you first write an essay and you're taking your English class, I don't know how they teach it over there in other countries, but here in North America, I think in Canada and the US, we do this thing where we say you got to write a thesis. You got to write a thesis, and you got to write paragraphs where the structure of the paragraph has the first word is the topic sentence, and then the rest of the paragraph gives examples and supporting evidence and things like that. And then the whole essay ties together, right? You have an introduction. There's like a structure to an essay. They could have just said, like, go write an essay. Go give me your thoughts on a certain opinion. But there's a reason they give you this structure. It's like such a daunting task. There are so many words in the English language, and you can put them in so many different orders. It's like, what are you supposed to do? Right? It's very overwhelming, and you can go crazy on it. Same thing with the Go board. So instead of going crazy and just going blah, 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 and just word vomiting all over your Go board to mix up the two analogies, or the one analogy, learn and seek knowledge about what you're supposed to do. That is going to be another recurring theme in this whole thing. Is like, you're going to have one side, that practical side. I want to play. I want to apply things that I know and play and learn. But you're also going to need the other side of you that says, I want to know what I'm supposed to do. I want to know what is best. I want to know what is the proper way to do things. You're going to need both of those sides working together to make it anywhere in this hobby. Some people actually fall into the trap of following the student side too much, and they don't actually go out and apply their knowledge because they're scared of playing games, or they just, they're intimidated by the game, or I don't know, whatever reason. But you're going to have to find a source of knowledge, whether that's what the best way would be if it's an experienced player who is much stronger than you, who can tell you, like, hey, play in the corners first, right? These points, the 3-3 or the 4-4 or the 3-4, and then play towards the sides or approach, and then it'll go kind of naturally towards the center. And you'll learn things like that, and it will sound confusing. Even if you do seek out the knowledge, it'll sound confusing. But over time, you will learn more and more, and you will build on your knowledge, and you'll feel less lost. And although I feel lost today, where I am in my skill, I often don't know what to do, but that's okay because I've gone through all of this and I've gotten to the point where it's okay for me to not know. And because I know that this is something that is another question that I want to ask, I want to study, I want to learn what the thing I'm supposed to do is. And that seeking knowledge section of my brain needs to activate in order to not feel as lost. Because there are many moments in the game where I feel absolutely not lost, that a lot of other players who are not as experienced as I would feel lost. So the whole game you're gonna find it's gonna be very demanding in terms of like how much effort you would want to put into it to get better. But I would also now back off and just say, don't take it too seriously. I know I've been kind of like talked about it like you need to study and you need to work hard to get anywhere in this game. But at the same time, like you will get better just by playing. So don't worry too much. But just don't ignore that curious side of you that asks questions and wants to know a little bit more. And every time you ask those questions, you will gain some new knowledge. And I think that's kind of the roadmap, right? I've kind of laid out the roadmap of hurdles that you will come across playing this game. And it's so rich. It's the thing is, it's not just a board game. It's not Snakes and Ladders. It's not Candyland. It's not checkers. No offense to checkers players, although that's, somewhat deep in strategy as well. But this is a very rich, deep intellectual game with a lot of different aspects to draw from. And you don't have to feel like you need to do everything. You don't have to soak in every single bit of detail. Just take it at your pace. Enjoy it, right? Learn one thing at a time. And if you can enjoy that process, I think you will go far. Is what I'll leave it at that for the experience that I think. And if you get to the point where you find yourself loving this game, I say congratulations. You are a Go player, and I happily welcome you into the community. And let's grab a game. Let's play. Let's talk. And that's the thing that you will realize is that you're able to speak a new language. You're able to speak the language of Go. And that means real words, like the actual words like sente, gote, joseki, and push, and hane, and things like that, and be able to say things like that with meaning, but also be able to look at a board and understand what's going on and converse on the board. And it's a fantastic thing, which leads me to my final topic here, which is the social experience, what to expect from other Go players as you enter this game. And this is probably one of the biggest strong points of Go, is that like people who love Go, they love it so much that they are willing to give up all of their time for newcomers. And actually, those people who play Go, I think a lot of us really long for people to ask us, how do you play this game? What is the best thing to do here? Because we have spent so much time to learn these things for ourselves, and all you can do, I mean, it's like the ivory tower. You're up there studying, learning all this stuff, and what are you going to do with all that knowledge if you're just going to keep it to yourself and say, haha, I'm a 2-dan player? No, you want to share that knowledge. You want to pass that knowledge on to other people and make it easier for other people to get to where you are. Maybe not too easy. Maybe you want to keep them like 1 or 2 ranks below you, but nonetheless, people are passionate about sharing knowledge about this game, and they want people to enjoy this hobby because we're an endangered species. Well, maybe not endangered. I think we're growing as a community, but there's just not enough growth. There's not a lot of us, and we're very happy to welcome anyone who is willing to take the step to play this game, and it will reinvigorate our own Go lives if you are brave enough to enter into this world. I feel like I speak for everyone when I say that, and I hope that you have a welcome experience. If you want to go and join a club somewhere, I've had nothing but good experiences when I go to Go clubs. They're just the most wholesome and welcoming, and just, I don't know, it's just Go. You can't Go is just so pure. It's just a pure game, and like to be able to play this and share this activity with someone, it's just so civil. It is like kind of gentlemanly, although you will also have a small share of bad experiences, as with anything. But it's a fantastic hobby if you are if you want to keep in contact with someone and you want to engage with them for a while. Correspondence games are perfect for doing that, to be able to just kind of keep in touch with somebody without even talking to them, right? It's like you're participating in an activity, right? I feel like if someone is at a distance, all you can really do is talk to them, send messages and things like that. But correspondence games are an amazing way to actually share an activity together with somebody, and to just kind of keep a link of friendship alive. It's great. It's a fantastic thing to do. I hope I didn't scare you off from Go. I hope I intrigued you a little bit. I guess I would want to mention one more thing that is a reason Go is so beautiful, is that it is so mysterious. And that's something I always say, is that I love the mystery of Go. And that's something that drives people away. They don't like not having answers, but it's such a mysterious game, and it feels like magic. It really feels like you're learning magic, because you will look at the game and you will not understand why things are the way they are. And then suddenly you will find that you do understand why they are, but you will not understand how you came to understand that. And it's like you just learned a spell and you just know it for some reason. And it's just that. And you're just like, wow, what the heck just happened to my brain? It just got bigger. And it's fantastic. And the more you peer into this world of Go. Okay, so what I said about the ocean, how every time you dip your feet into the ocean, you will find that there's so much more to learn. The skill disparity is so high. But you will also now take that analogy and apply it to the beauty of the game. You will start to see things that are kind of cool. You'll start to see, oh, that's kind of neat. You will start to look at things differently, and then you will see that the game is so beautiful. The more you play, the stronger you get. You will see more and more beauty in the game. And you will see the tensions and how dramatic it is, and how things just kind of like click together, and also the chaos just exploding everywhere. It's so beautiful, and I am looking forward to getting even stronger to see even more beauty, because I know I don't fully appreciate this game, and you can never fully appreciate this game. And so this is a very fulfilling experience. So I invite you, play Go. Give it a try, and it may not be for you. That's okay, but as you can see, I'm quite passionate about it. So I hope that speaks to something here. I think it's a good time maybe to say, if you are a player who is several stones weaker than me, I'm 3Q on OGS. Don't be afraid to send me a challenge. It's Space Raven. And I will, if you want to learn, ask me, right? If you want to learn from the game, ask me. I will be more than happy, because I don't want to presume, and I don't want to presume that you want me to tell you how to play. But if you have questions about the game and what you could work on, I will be more than happy to. I can't say I can get to everybody. Like if I get a whole bunch of challenges and everybody wants me to review their game and stuff like that, I'm not going to be able to do that. But just give it a shot. I mean, like I'm open to doing that. So don't be shy. If you want to learn from your game, like let me know. And on the other side, if you're stronger than me, please give me advice, right? I don't like asking for advice, because I don't want to like, you know, if you're not feeling it, if you're kind of like just trying to get the game done and not like have to review it, I'm totally good with that. But if you feel like you want to give me advice, please don't hesitate. I will not be offended if you tell me. And now if you're like my skill level and you're kind of telling me like you're like 5 stones stronger than me, that might be a little different. But if you are, you know, a few stones stronger than me, and you see where I might be able to improve at the game, then I'm very much open to that. And so So it goes both ways. Send me a challenge. I don't know how many people are going to try to. I don't want to get too overwhelmed. I can't promise that I will accept everyone's challenge and also, chat with everybody about their game and stuff like that. But I mean, I would say give it a shot if you're interested, because what's the worst that could happen? I might not respond, but I mean, I'll try to get to you. So that's that. I just want to throw that out there. But now it's time for the DDK Advice Corner, and the tip of the day is sneak in a Sente. And I don't know, I swear I gave a tip like this before, but I did a search and I could not find anything like it. But sneak in a Sente, right? So sometimes you have a board where you want to make a move and you're like, okay, I think I want to go here. But before you lock that move down, look around. Are there any Sente moves that you can play before you play that move? That, not saying that you should always play Sente moves that you can play, but look around and see if there are ones worth playing, something that would benefit you, maybe even related to the move you're about to play. And this is actually kind of it has an equivalent move type in chess called a Zwischenzug. I always forget this one, and I always confuse it with the Zugzwang, but the Zugzwang is not it. This is a Zwischenzug, which I believe is the in-between move, right? So you're trying to make an in-between move. You're trying to juice the board for value. Don't always play the Sente move just because you can, but sneak it in there. Like, see if there's something that you can do before you do the move that you're about to do. Now it's time for listener mail. Simon writes, my analogy is two players exploring how to coexist within the space. So this is a Go analogy about what the game of Go is like. And I would agree with that. And the thing is, I would say, however, the thing is that you're coexisting in the space, and yet one of you is trying to be the winner, where there's only one. So it's not so peaceful, is it? But the funny thing is that in order to win, coexisting and peacefully being with the other person is kind of the direct road to victory. That's like, I don't know, I just find that to be kind of true. Where if you try to take the space, you will maybe lose. If you coexist, you might find yourself just winning because the other player may be a little greedy and going overboard while you're just trying to coexist, and somehow you won. And I think that's another thing that's beautiful about Go. Simon also says, comment on the other episode, looks like you were talking about I space instead of I. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that, like, what I was saying was that eyes themselves don't actually appear very often on the Go board, because they're assumed. And yes, like you said, they're I space. Maybe that's an advantage of like the original Chinese rules, where you had to play every stone on the board, because with that, like, where you had to fill in all your space until there were two eyes. Because that method of playing, actually this isn't an official method. I think this is a theory I read somewhere. But I believe that, it makes sense to me in the development of this game that you would take turns playing as many stones as you could to fill up every single spot on the board until you had those two eyes that you really did not and could not fill, because otherwise you would die. And then that is like how you used to play the game until we developed where it's like, okay, let's not waste another like 40 minutes filling up everything, and let's just assume that all these are going to be my points. And then I'm going to subtract a couple points because there are two spaces left unfilled, and that's the group tax that they used. Anyway, I'm kind of going on a tangent, but that method of playing, I believe, would be very clear for beginners, because if you have to force yourself to put everything on the board, then you're like, oh, I understand why things are alive. And you can actually see the eyes themselves instead of assumed eye space, and being a little confused why, you can't just go in there or you can't just attack, right? To be able to play that all out, I think is a good beginner tip. If you're playing on a 9x9, if you're playing on 19x19, good luck with that. That's going to take forever. If you're playing on a 9x9, I encourage, if you're teaching a beginner, or if you're a beginner yourself, maybe playing the way where you try to fill up every space on the board following the rules of Go, and only passing when you don't have a stone to put down. And in this way, you will assume that a stone put down on the board is a point, and the spaces are not points. So this is just kind of a separate rule set that you could use that may help understand what eyes are. Anyway, thank you for writing in, Simon. The question of the week this week is there something that you would like to tell beginners about Go? Do you have an elevator pitch for the game of Go that you give to beginners that you've seen work or that you'd like to see work? Let me know your thoughts on that question. If you want to share those thoughts, comment wherever you found this episode, or email me directly at starpointpaduk@gmail.com. That's starpointbaduk@gmail.com. If you're a YouTube listener, I would greatly appreciate a like and a subscribe. If you're a podcast listener, reviews and ratings also help, and I think you can follow the podcast wherever you're listening. That would help as well. A very special thank you to James B., Brendan S., Tristan, Jeff H., Tyraniton, and Andrew P. for supporting Starpoint. I really appreciate it. I really do. If you want to support the show in any capacity, go to kofi.com/starpointpaduk. That's KO-FI. Or check out the Starpoint store at store.starpointpaduk.com. We got shirts, we got post-it notes, we got a couple other things. Come on over to the Discord. You can find the link in the description. And I have a baby name suggestion for someone who wants to raise a strong Go player. And the name is Daniel. Get it? Because then he'd be Dan. Thanks for listening. Keep playing Go.